Hi, my name is Tom Riglar. I'm co-founder and CEO of Morrow. We're an app development agency based in Bristol, UK. The company is just over 3 years old. It was founded in 2019 by me and my best friend Charles. We're both senior developers, worked in industry for many, many years, big companies, small companies. And we were a little bit frustrated by some of our jobs, a little bit frustrated by the approach to technology in our industry. And we thought, we can go and do this better. We can go and push the envelope of what's possible in mobile app development. And we can jump onto that leading edge and improve things as we see them in the industry. That was over 3 years ago now, and we're still going today. We have a team of around 15, and we've put dozens of apps into the wild, so success so far. When we first heard about taking on a T-level student, we were a bit unsure. We'd not taken on student placement before, and we thought, this is quite a young person. Are they going to be able to contribute to the company? We're very busy. Are we going to be able to give them the time that they need in order to develop? But actually, it's been really good. We're around a year into the process now, and the student has contributed so much that we just think of them as part of any other team member. They're in every week, they're writing amazing code, they're contributing ideas. They're really part of the team at every level, not just as a student placement. Our student placement has kind of embedded themselves so well in the team that actually they're giving advice to some of our seniors at some points. So it's become a real kind of mutually beneficial relationship. When our student placement first started, we kind of left it up to them. So we're like, okay, what are you interested in? What do you want to get involved in? Now, they had a certain skill set, particularly around back-end coding, but hadn't much experience with front-end. Now, a lot of our projects are very front-end heavy. So the student placement was really keen to get involved in some of those front-end concepts and kind of partner with some of our developers in terms of learning things like, the basic front-end stuff like CSS, and how do you communicate well with APIs, how do you structure front-end code. So that was something that they got involved in quite early on in order to get some of that experience. But they also had some expertise in terms of back-end development. So they were able to bring some of the ideas that they'd learned outside of the placement and contribute those into our collective knowledge in the company and help shape some of the decisions we were making on the back end. So that's affecting anything from kind of API design, file storage, database interactions, authentication. So that was really helpful to get that additional perspective as well. When I was at T-level age, 12, 13 years ago, I decided to go down the A-level route, and that worked out fine for me, but actually I didn't really get hands-on coding experience until I was 22, 23. And looking back, I wish I'd got that earlier. The T-level really has taught me that there's nothing that you can substitute for on-the-job learning. And if you can get stuck in and get your hands dirty with coding and all of the bits that go around coding, you're going to learn a lot of useful information. And watching our placement student go through that process has made me think about my own learning and thinking about how can I take the practical aspects of the T-level and include them in my own way of learning and development. So there's a few things that I hope the T-level gains from being as part of our team. And I guess the first one is the ways of working. So software startups work very differently from academia. We don't often operate on the 9 to 5. Often there's lots of home working, especially since COVID. And it's also very international. So, our student placement has been interacting with some of our team based in Mexico, some based in the Philippines, and has been working from home at points and working at different hours. And I think that really reflects the way that modern software companies work. So it's good that they have been able to access that and experience that, because it's very different from what you get in a traditional education experience. The second key thing, I think, is the potential software has to offer in terms of what you can achieve as an individual, but also the way that you can change the world. There's very little barriers in software. If you've got the ability, inclination, and commitment to go and do something, you can pretty much go and do it. There's no hardware restrictions, there's very little people restrictions. So if you want to go and build whatever it is you have in your head, you can go and do that, and no one's going to tell you no. So I hope our student placement goes away with those two lessons on the job learning. I guess the first one is education that has on-the-job experience is really important, in my opinion. And I think traditional academic experience, through degrees, A-levels, has a place in our educational setup, but you can't substitute on-the-job learning, because until you get there in that office, in that team, on that work experience placement, you never really know what it's like. And for sure, there's some people who go into academia and always stay in academia, but for the vast majority of us, it's about getting that dream job. And if you can see what that dream job does or doesn't look like before you've committed hours and hours of your life to academia, then I think that can only be a positive thing. Even if someone goes on work placement and they're like, actually, I really want to stay in the lab forever, or I really want to be a researcher forever, at least you know. If you don't access that job experience until after your degree or later on in life, then you've potentially gone through a whole educational process and you ended up with a job that you don't actually want. So if you can work out whether you want the job before you spend hours and years in education, then I think that's really beneficial.